What would you do if the moment you bought your dream home, your neighbors showed up, not to welcome you, but to unload years of hatred, bitterness, and judgment, all onto you? I thought I was just buying a house. Turns out, I was stepping straight into a neighborhood feud I never signed up for. And let me tell you, when I finally got my revenge, it was silent, sweet, and oh so satisfying. If you've ever had neighbors who thought they could control your life, or if you've ever dreamed of subtle, poetic revenge, hit that like button right now. Subscribe for more real-life stories where karma finally catches up. And buckle in, because this one's a slow burn, but the ending, worth every second. About 10 years ago, I found the perfect house. You know that moment when you walk into a place and it just feels right? Spacious kitchen, natural light. The kind of layout where you can actually picture building a life. But then, there was the backyard. At first glance, it was impressive. Almost too impressive. Imagine stepping outside into what looked like a resort brochure gone wrong. A massive over-the-top water feature, fake river rocks, a 50-foot stream snaking across the lawn, and not one but two separate pond fountains. Now, some people would have loved it, maybe even paid extra for it. But me, I hated it. The whole thing swallowed up the yard. It felt cold, artificial, and frankly, exhausting. I remember thinking, this is going to be the first thing I rip out. But I didn't know yet that this ugly water feature was about to drag me into my neighbor's bitterness. It was maybe a week after moving in. I was unpacking boxes, sweaty and tired, when the doorbell rang. Two of my backyard neighbors, let's call them Nancy and Rick, showed up. At first I thought, oh, how nice, they're welcoming me to the neighborhood. But the smiles didn't last. They spent 10 full minutes unloading on me. Not about me personally, at least not yet, but about the house. Or more specifically, the previous owners. That water feature is ridiculous, Nancy sneered, motioning toward my yard. Total waste of money, Rick added. We told the last owners it was an eyesore, but they didn't listen. I tried to nod politely, but they didn't stop there. They bashed the landscaping. They criticized little details I actually liked. They even rolled their eyes at the paint colors. It wasn't friendly advice. It was a hit list of everything they hated, shoved into my lap. At first I was agreeing, thinking, yeah, I hate the fountain too. But then it started to feel different. Like they weren't talking to me, they were talking at me. Almost like I was just the unlucky new tenant who had inherited all their old grudges. I remember standing there, my smile frozen in place, thinking, wait a second. This is my house now, my space, and you think you can just dictate what I should like or rip out? So I cut them off. Not rudely, but firmly. I said something like, yeah, well, I've got a lot to do back here. It wasn't much, but the way I said it carried an edge. A message, back off. And in that moment, something shifted inside me. Because here's the thing. I could have ripped out that whole water feature within the first year, just like I planned. But suddenly I didn't want to. Not because I liked it, but because they hated it. So you know what I did? I left it. Year after year, every time I looked at that ridiculous fountain, I felt a mix of annoyance and satisfaction. Annoyed that it was there, but satisfied because I knew it was a thorn in their side, not mine. They had to look at it every single day from their windows. And I learned to live with it. Sure, it wasn't my dream yard, but in a weird way, it became my quiet revenge. Every summer when the water trickled, every autumn when the leaves clogged the stream, every winter when ice froze it into a bizarre sculpture, I pictured Nancy and Rick grinding their teeth. Did they ever come over again to complain? No, but I could feel it in the stiff waves across the fence, the passive-aggressive glances, the unspoken hostility, and that was enough to keep me going. Fast forward nearly a decade. The world had changed. COVID hit. Everything slowed down. Suddenly I had time on my hands, and I looked at that yard again. By now I was different, older, calmer. The neighbors, bitterness had faded from my daily life. And the fountain, well, I had proven my point. I had endured it for years, not because I loved it, but because I refused to let them dictate my choices. So I thought, you know what? I've earned this. I'm ready to take it out on my terms. And so I did. Piece by piece, rock by rock, I dismantled the entire monstrosity. The stream, the ponds, the fountains, all of it, gone. And you know what happened next? Nothing. No knock on the door. No phone call. Not even a casual, hey, your yard looks nice now. At first, part of me thought, seriously. Not even a thank you, after years of complaining. But then I realized, That was the ultimate victory. Because they knew. They knew I hadn't done it for them. If I had ripped it out the first year, they would have gloated, felt like they'd won. But waiting almost a decade, doing it silently on my timeline, that stripped them of any satisfaction. No thank you. No validation. Just silence. And in that silence was my revenge. The truth is, the sweetest revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's not about humiliating someone in public or making a dramatic scene. Sometimes it's about patience. About living your life your way, in spite of someone else's bitterness. For 10 years, that water feature stood as a monument, not to the previous owners, but to my refusal to bow to neighborly pressure. And when I finally tore it down, the silence that followed was deafening. A silence that said, "You don't control me." You never did. Looking back, I realized something important. Revenge doesn't always have to be flashy. Sometimes the most satisfying payback is just living life on your terms while they sit there stewing. And trust me, it works every time. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button right now. And tell me in the comments, what's the pettiest but most satisfying revenge you've ever pulled off? I love reading your stories. And don't forget, subscribe for more tales where karma finally balances the scales.